thank you for your leadership. You are extraordinarily well respected and have such a great career in Washington, and I admire what you do and being a trailblazer. And great to see my friend Aziz Hanifa. As I tell everyone I know, it doesn't matter if I'm in the New York Times or MSNBC, if it's not in India abroad, it does not exist. So I appreciate Deepak Raj and Gautam and all of you putting this together. Sunil Puri and I, Sunil knew me when I was a intern on the Kerry campaign after having lost my first race I think it was 73 to 19, not that I remember exactly. But I got to make an admission, we've come a long way since then. I used to never, as a young person, when I developed an interest in politics, I used to never go to Indian American political gatherings. And I'll tell you why. Because there was so much conventional wisdom or opinion in those gatherings that I found stifling. Saying this was going to be your path. You couldn't run against an incumbent or work for this person and then do this. Let me tell you something, if it's not obvious to everyone after Donald Trump, there are no rules in American politics. I don't know any more than you. The only rule I would say is you've got to have a passion for something and you got to be persistent in pursuing that passion. But don't let anyone tell you, oh, I'm a member of Congress, and really what you need to do is go be on city council, or go be on work on the Hill, or go do this first. Find your own path. Take risks. Be willing to be bold and take a path that other people may not have taken. To me, that is one of the most important parts of politics. And know how much of an obligation and responsibility we now have to be engaged at this moment in our country's history. I have a few minutes, and then you get the big speaker, Cory Booker. So let me just tell you in a few minutes. Cory, he may be president. You never know. You never know. One of you may be president. So maybe having non-elective experience could be a qualification. So, my parents came here in the 1960s. My grandfather spent 4 years in jail, Amarnath Vidyalankar, in the 1940s, fighting for India's independence. Far greater human being than I will be. Politicians, one of the things I joke around with politicians, we're not ever going to be, you can't aspire to be Gandhi or Dr. King, but they were great human beings. Politicians, we care about our press, we care about getting elected. There are a lot of, you're more conventional as a human being, but you can still be inspired by people like my grandfather and Gandhi. And I remember, I was born in Philadelphia, and I remember seeing my parents, when we would return from our trips to India, having their green card stamped, standing in line at JFK Airport. And sometimes I wonder what they would think that their son today represents a district that produces more wealth than many nations, with Apple and Google and Intel, and the story of their journey. When we were moving into Bucks County, there was all this chatter on the streets. The Khannas are moving in. And then my dad figured out what the issue was. On Christmas Eve, everyone puts out candle lights on the sidewalks. And the neighbor said, well, what are the Khannas going to do? Are they going to ruin our street of candle lights on Christmas Eve? And my father said, no, we're not. We'll put out the candle lights. Hindus respect all religions, and we'll celebrate Christmas. And I remember childhood going to Christmas parties, being very friendly with the neighbors. They appreciated that every year we put out the candle lights on the street. Now fast forward to my time at law school, and I'm working for Kathleen Kennedy Townsend. This is pre-Obama. And I remember a policy director saying to me, Ro, you're really pretty good at policy. Maybe one day you could go work on the Hill. Of Of course, you never can get elected being Indian American Hindu, but you should go work on the Hill. I refrained from sending him a note once I got elected. But I do remember having a conversation with my mom, and she said to me, "Ro, promise me one thing. You'll make it. This is a very decent country, but you never will convert your faith. Remember your grandfather and be proud of who you are." This is the challenge in our country. How do we have pride for our identity and yet have an embrace for a common American culture? Where is that balance in respecting tradition and culture and yet finding a unique voice? I believe our politics are polarized because the challenge is so difficult. This is not an easy question. We have never seen in human history a multicultural, multiracial democracy. To think that America would transition to that without a struggle is naive. And I think that our job, given our heritage, given our background, is to help America build a common culture that's inclusive, that has a respect for identity, and yet a unifying patriotic vision. All of you can play a role.